102.3 Radio Free. KJLH.
Peace and blessings, everybody. It's your friend Greg J here on Radio Free TV. Well, you know, the more things change, the more they stay the same. That's what my mom used to say when it came down to matters of civil rights. And as we read in recent headlines across the country, we can see that nothing much has changed. Racism and prejudice still exist. Let's take the Jena 6, for example. That's 6 teenagers down in Jena, Louisiana, a very small town in the South. And after a schoolyard fight, motivated by nooses hanging from a tree, which was previously reserved for white students, and black students wanted to sit there. A schoolyard fight resulted, and 6 teens were charged with attempted murder and aggravated assault, you know, those types of charges, which could send those young people away to prison for a very, very long time. In equal justice in Jena, Louisiana. Right here at home, Palmdale, California, recently, a young lady was attacked by a school security guard who broke her wrist after subduing her in an incident involving spilled birthday cake in the school's cafeteria. Man. Well, you know, here at KJLH Radio, we have the front page, right? The front page is our issues-driven radio talk show. Comes on very early in the morning, 4:30 a.m., but a loyal and important listenership tunes in each and every morning for issues coming from a decidedly black perspective. The host of that show, Dominique DiPrima, recently was out at the KCBS2 newsroom for a live broadcast, and with her, she had the Reverend Al Sharpton. Let's listen in as they talk about the Jena 6, Megan Williams, and other issues in our community.
We have a case right now in Palmdale where 3 students and a mother were arrested at Knight High School in Palmdale after some birthday cake was spilled on the floor. I guess they were the high school students messing around. Cake went on the floor, and the guard asked that one of the students pick it up, then got angry because she didn't pick up every crumb. This is according to her mother, who I interviewed on Friday. The security guard ended up breaking the wrists of 2 of the young girls. One of them is about 105 pounds. And the mother and the 3 children were all taken to jail. One of the young men who was taken to jail because he videotaped the incident, it's all on tape, there are pictures, is still in jail. And what we found when there was a hearing, there's been marching, there's been protesting, is that parent after parent after parent came forward with similar stories. Minor scuffle at school. The security guard beats up the child or roughs the child up, and then the child is charged with assault. And just doing the show alone, we had dozens of calls from this same Lancaster-Palmdale area. So clearly this is our example of that kind of unequal justice, because the white students in these cases are not.
Case.
Yeah, the
in
Palmdale
fact,
for
while I'm here, I intend to make some inquiries, and National Action Network wants to be supportive, because this is again the same kind of disparity we're talking about. Should people deal with punishment? Yeah, but punishment must be equal to the crime, and it must be consistent with what others have faced similarly situated. And I think that this Palmdale situation is another glaring example of the disparity in how the criminal justice system works. We become charged, we're first victimized, and then we become charged as the ones guilty of the assault. That is an amazing pattern that's going on all over this country.
Radio Free 102.3 KJLH, Compton, Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Inglewood. We are on the air on the front page here with Reverend Al Sharpton. We've got a lot of people that would like to speak with you on these phones, but quickly, if you would, and I don't want to go too quickly, but talk to me about Megan Williams. Just a horrifying case in Virginia, the rape, torture case. Now they're saying she was held for a month?
Yeah, it is probably the most compelling story that I've heard. Held certainly more than what we originally was told. Made to eat animal feces, raped, assaulted over and over again. And I think two things on that. One, it shows how savage people can behave, unchecked. Because when you look at the combined records of those accused, it's something like 106 times they've been charged. I'm absolutely convinced if they were black, they would have never been out of jail in the first place to do this. But secondly, it shows why the activism that people do, like our group and others and the students, are so important because there was no movement built around Megan Williams' case so far, like Jena. It has disappeared from the mainstream media. This case ought to be front and center in America. Presidential candidates should be discussing it. So when people talk about why do y'all march, why do y'all do what they do, Megan Williams is a case in point on why there ought to be movement. Some of us went in and said, let's build a movement around it. And for whatever reasons, the local folk there did not want to do that. And therefore, the national attention that should be on this savage case is not there. And I would hope that the families that are involved here would reconsider that, because can you imagine this happening in the 21st century? And the average person listening to us, if they went to their job today, the average coworker doesn't even know who Megan Williams is.
But you're saying that the locals did not want a lot of attention on this, and there's some talk that she may have mental challenges or other issues, so perhaps that's why. But what would you hope to come out of that, that movement?
What you would hope to come out of it is, again, it is part of the disparity of justice. One, you'd have to explain to me why people that had those many cases were not in jail. Mm-hmm. That's one. Let's start with what were they doing available, having been convicted of so many crimes in the first place. Second of all, that they be prosecuted to the full degree of the law. I mean, we have no guarantee what's going to happen there. One thing we know, the history tells us, is if they operate in relatively dark, the relative dark, they do very, very wrong things. You need to have an international spotlight on this case.
Do you think part of the reason that there isn't is because, I mean, you yourself, at least were quoted, I don't know, you can't believe everything you read, is saying that the investigation and the handling by law enforcement of this case has been good?
No, I said that the arrest was good.
Okay.
I didn't know how the investigation of the case. I thought the fact that they went ahead and moved and arrested was handled fine.
Okay.
But I have no idea what the investigation is. I have no idea what anything else is, and neither does anyone else. When we were initially called by a cousin, I was in Jena, and we sent people in. And then once they got on the ground, it was local so-called leadership that was saying to the family, we don't want this to turn to move. We don't want the spotlight. And again, I understand if she has mental challenges and all that, but they're going to have to go to court. And I think that the fact that she has so-called mental challenges makes it even worse what was done.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that compounds the crime.
Well, our time is almost up here. Wasn't that fascinating discussion with Dominique and Reverend Al Sharpton? That was live from the studios of KCBS2 recently. Actually, the day before Al Sharpton went out to Knight High School and led the statement against violence on the campus of Knight High School. Well, you can listen to Front Page every early morning, Monday through Friday. It comes on 4:30 a.m. and runs until 6, and Dominique's always got some fascinating guests right there on that program. One thing I've learned from watching this footage is that, we as African Americans still have issues that are formidable obstacles to our complete and total liberation here in America. So that means that we've got to get involved. We've got to get up. We've got to get out. We've got to become a part of an organization that is fighting for our rights, your church, your mosque, your study group, the NAACP, the Urban League, just organizations that are all about the positive growth of our community, because the system is still a little bit against us. I just believe that maybe you can change the laws of a country, but you can't change the hearts of people. We've just got to stand up, and continue the fight for equal rights and alleviate poverty as tangible expressions of the kingdom of God. For Radio Free TV, I'm Greg J.